Okay, rolling.
It's been peaceful here in the 5 worlds. Or is it 6? For a dragon's age, we now have 12,000 treasure. Or is it 14,000?
What about this Ganasty Ganok character? Now, I understand he's found a magic spell to turn gems into warriors for his cause.
I'll take that question. Nasty Nork is a simple creature.
Simple?
He has been contained in a remote world and is no threat to the Dragon Kingdom.
No threat?
Besides, he is ugly.
Ugly? That does it!
Huh? Looks like I've got some things to do.
For releasing me, Spyro. Free 10 dragons in the artisan world, then find the balloonist. He'll transport you to the next world.
What about Nasty Nork? I'm going after him.
Find dragons first. That's all I can tell you.
Hey everybody, it's Dr. Slavic here, but you can call me M, and I'm here with a very special game to me that I've wanted to do for so long that I've tried to do on this channel before, and for various reasons I'm not particularly proud of that series. Partially because it's shot on a camcorder, partially because it's very childlike, very youthful commentary if you want to be generous, and partly because now there's this new remake of the Spyro games, which I'm all about because this is one of the biggest games of my childhood, along with like Pokemon Ruby, and that's like my entire childhood then. So, what's different about Reignited is you've already seen a little bit of the charm that they've added to the game. They've done a spectacular job at redesigning and remaking everything in this first game in the series, Spyro the Dragon. You can see everything is gorgeous, absolutely beautiful. The designs, you saw the dragons before, are significantly less like polygonal polygonal Muppets, and more like unique dragons that are all set to match the different areas you find them in. You can see just how they keep like the goofy charisma that all the enemies and stuff have, while also bringing them into the modern day. It's a game that I'm very happy with how they remade, which is good because I'm a little worried when anyone goes back to touch things that, you know, have a huge significance to your life. I do want to say real quick that the first time I tried to start this video, I had a cheat from a different save file still on, and Spyro was very deformed and different colors. So, if you don't know anything about Spyro, let me key you in. It is a platformer from the 90s, originally for the PlayStation 1. The Reignited trilogy is cross-platform. That sounded weird. You can't play with other people on the platform, but you can get it for PC, Switch, PlayStation, Xbox. You got your X button that lets you jump. You can charge, breathe fire. You can control the camera with a right analog stick, which is great because the original Spyro the Dragon you couldn't because there wasn't a right analog stick. Skill points, they're just, you get a bonus life when you do certain things. Some of them I don't think you should get skill points for, rather, but it is what it is. Other things, you can go into first person mode. You can use the triggers to breathe fire in the remake, which is crazy. And then you have this tactical dodge roll. It's not very useful. There's like one part in the game that I can think of where you can use it, and they dropped it in later installments. But in the Reignited, Spyro 2 and 3, they have added this back, and I still don't think it's very useful. So, there's that. These little purple guys contain lives. You've got several different gems. The gem colors, I believe they change value between games. In this one, red is 1, green is 2, yellow is 3, blue is 10, and purple is 25, I think. I like to pretend I'm a Spyro expert, but that's some fine-tuned details that I don't know. bash some sheep. And we're gonna go talk to some dragons. The whole point of this game is to collect treasure and free these dragons that have been trapped by Nasty Nork.
Where's Nasty Nork? I'll torch him.
Keep your horns on, Spyro. You have much to learn first. Do you know what the dragonfly following you is doing? His name is Sparks, and he's helping and protecting you. Keep an eye on him and see what I mean.
So what our dragon friend there is telling us is that our health, very Dead Space style, is not in a health bar, but is instead in Spyro, or in Sparks, the dragonfly following us. As you can see, he's a healthy, bright yellow color, but if we take damage, he will change to blue, green. After green, he vanishes, and then finally, when you have no Sparks, you will die on your next hit. Spyro can't swim, and whenever you die, you will respawn at the last fairy, which appear after you have freed dragons. So they also serve as checkpoints, which is a little different. So you can see, go back, and we are here again. A few changes to Spyro 1. There's not too many changes to Spyro, the original, and the remake. One is that there's a little bit of more generosity with platforming. As you can see, Spyro there beats his wings when he gets close to an edge if you're near enough. That's not in the original, and it's a nice touch that makes some of the hard platforming just a little easier, which I won't complain about at all. If you double jump, it is a glide, as I've shown just there, and if you press triangle out of a glide, you will plummet down. This is confusing because in later games you have a third jump with that button. In this one, you just fall. Alright, if you take damage, I should have kept some damage. You have fodder in every level. Kill them and you get a butterfly, which Sparks will eat to regain his health. One thing that's nice about Reignited is a lot of environmental interaction. Makes the game feel a lot more, I don't know, immersive. And it's also just pretty to look at when you burn flames, or burn grass with flames. One final change that is not in the original. Go to options, and you can activate a map. Somewhere, there it is. They added a map to the first and third games in the series, which were not in the originals. They were originally only in Spyro 2. I personally don't like the map that much. I don't think it adds anything because the levels are pretty easy to navigate. They're built with no map in mind. So for now, we're going to wander around the Artisans. As you can see, it's called the Artisans' Homeworld. And they really captured that idea with the dragons now. Every dragon you see is an artist, like Argus here.
Cool flash. Do that again.
The Artisan's boss is through a portal in the Dragon Mouth, but you are not yet ready, Spyro. First, you must complete one of the other Artisan lands.
Alright, well I'm a giant asshole, so unless watermelons are art, I lied to you. One more change, in the original, Sparks couldn't eat Sparks couldn't eat butterflies if he was at full, which normally didn't matter, but later games you could get blue butterflies out of fodder occasionally. I'm not seeing it here, but he can do that now, so you can get extra lives if you want to grind out against sheep and the Artisans, if that's your thing. Chests, wooden chests like these, you can either breathe fire to break open or smash with your head. Pretty standard stuff. Collect these gems. If we go down here, we see
if you
a
prove
balloonist.
your worth by rescuing 10 dragons, then you may use this balloon to fly to a new world.
Yeah, basically what he's telling us is if we want to go to the next world in the game, we need to collect 10 dragons. And spoiler alert, there are not 10 dragons in the overworld. So we're going to have to go into levels at some point. I'm going to go ahead and sweep through and clear up the rest of the Artisans through this door. One thing I like about Spyro 1, there's a couple things I like about Spyro 1 more than the other games in the series. One of them is that you can go through a level and 100% on your first try. There are no abilities that you need to unlock or like key items that you bring back later. You can just go through, and especially if you know where everything is, or roughly where everything is, you can get through these levels pretty quickly. Real quick, we're going to talk to this dragon once I get back up this slope. Tomas.
Hey, Spyro, press the jump button twice to glide. And don't be afraid.
Afraid? Of what?
Falling from high mountain peaks? Plummeting into prehistoric glaciers?
Oh, that.
Tomas. So yeah. Basically, its game was a little more, I guess, simple than you would consider the other two to be. There's only two styles of gameplay, which are the platforming and a type of gameplay that we'll see probably a few episodes later. These are whirlwinds. They'll carry you up when you go on them. You'll exit into a glide. Grab the gems over here. Pretty basic platforming, but it is still very fun and satisfying, especially because of how loose Spyro's platforming is, because you have the ability to glide and charge. So it just feels very organic. I've been playing a lot of the Crash Insane trilogy right now. I've never played Crash Bandicoot before, but I picked up the Insane trilogy for pretty cheap. And hold on a second. Oh, ignore that. I meant to press the there. So we are missing 2 gems. The one, anyways, the Crash Insane trilogy, Crash is very deliberate, tight platforming. That's sort of like the antithesis of this. You have to be very precise with how you jump and everything. You can't just run willy-nilly around. Whereas in Spyro, I can just charge around, enjoy, sort of experiment with jumping. Crash is also much more punishing when you die, so you don't want to do that. And here, though, if you lose a life, like I said, you start at the last checkpoint, the last dragon fairy that you pass by. And if we go over here, you'll see that if you approach them, they'll zap you again. So you don't have to go back to the one that you latest freed if you're trying to go back to a certain part of the level earlier on. So one other issue that I have with the Reignited trilogy is the HD grass actually makes it kind of tricky to find gems at points. Like right now, I'm not really sure where this 2 gems is missing. I assume it's a green gem that is blending in with the grass. When I play this game, I find that that happens frequently, because they don't quite pop out as much. They do sparkle like they do in the original game, but... Oh, nope, it was 2 red gems. Alright, you got a 100 with 100, we got all the dragons, and it'll tell you you completed the level. It's very nice. And you can see that it auto-saves pretty much anytime you do anything, so you don't have to worry about losing your data, which is great if you're like me, and you lose your data a lot. Alright, these, as I'm sure you've seen a million of now, are portals. I'm sure everyone knows this because it's Spyro and it's pretty culturally iconic, but go through a portal and it's going to take you to a world. All 3 of the Spyro games have these interconnected overworlds like this, and it's something I really appreciate about this series because it gives them a thematic binding. Like, all of the levels, as we're going to see, are sort of Western European themed in the Artisan's Kingdom. We started off in that big grassy castle courtyard type area, and as you see, when we go into Stone Hill, when you're loading in a level, by the way, you can fly up and down, you can do barrel rolls, and you can breathe fire, which I was too slow to do. Stone Hill here is sort of like Scottish Highlands. It's full of sheep, it's full of green grassy hills, and it's full of castles. So starting off back here, we're going to break some of these boxes. We have our first aggressive enemy here, this is a ram. You can defeat this by charging or by flames. Okay, so blue gems are worth 5, yellow gems are worth 10 then. A lot of cool stuff around here. Bash up these sheep. And I do want to say, Stone Hill in the Reignited looks really nice, but it does look, out of a lot of the levels in this game, the most like the original. If you're familiar with the original Spyro, or you watched any of my old videos or anything, you'll see that there's a lot of differences between Reignited's aesthetic and the original's aesthetic. But we're not going to see that culminate quite yet. I'm going to go through here. We got a nice little, this area. Got these wooden boxes we can break, and then metal boxes, like these, can only be broken by bashing with your head. And I'm glad they captured how satisfying it is to break through a bunch of boxes at once, because that was one of my favorite parts of the original. Alright, we're going to talk to Lindar.
When you free a dragon or step on one of their platforms, you're saving your progress. That could be useful if you run into trouble. Not that you ever run into trouble, Spyro.
So he's just explaining what I already said. They save. Yeah. We're gonna keep going. Back through the way we came. One thing about Reignited is you can hear when I'm running here, there is a percussion track that gets added to the game. If you go into options and to sound, you can see in addition to volume settings. There's dynamic music, it can be on or off, and you can switch back to the original Copeland soundtrack, which when I play alone I like to do, but I think for the sake of this Let's Play I'm going to keep it on the Reignited, because it feels more correct. I am going to put dynamic music on. I really don't like the dynamic music that much, but what are you going to do? Yeah, so they give you that option to play with the original soundtrack, which I really appreciate, because the original soundtrack kicks ass. Alright, we're going to go through here. Got another one of these, I almost called them a yam. Got one of these yams. And these are terrifying in the Reignited trilogy. They just had eyes in the original. I don't know what this is supposed to be, but it is legitimately like the scariest enemy in the series. Enemy's strong. It's a chest. I don't like it. I always thought they were like clams when I was a child in the original, but they are clearly something much more sinister. I'm gonna grab some more treasure and talk to Astor. A lot of ores.
After you've freed all the dragons, pass through this fancy vortex thingamajigger. It'll take you back to the artisan home. But first, let me tell you a story.
No thanks. See ya!
So yeah, Spyro does not like talking to old dragons. That's very valid of him. And like that dragon was saying, we have these return home portals at the end of every level. You can get to these really quickly, but in Spyro 1, there isn't much point. Most of the content in levels is not on the straight line path from the beginning to the end. Because seriously, look at this. We started roughly here. So we start here. You could kill that yam. Kill this yam. And then boom, you're at the end of the level. I don't know why they made the ending points so, I don't know, pointless. In later games, you get items at the end of the levels, and they tend to be a little more linear, which I think works when you're trying to encourage going there. Also, as I've spoiled, down here, it's good to use your camera because there is a little secret beach. On this secret beach, we're going to grab some gems, go in here, and we find a key. Keys can be used to open things that are locked. This is now a Let's Play of how to be existing in the real life world. Anyways, we got a whirlwind over here to take us back up with this key. And we're gonna take this key over back into the well that I nearly jumped in earlier. And boom! You can go inside. It's a neat little secret that always made me real excited as a kid. We got a dragon down here, Gavin.
Watch the dragonfly, Spyro. His color indicates his power. When he eats butterflies, he stays strong. Like me.
Sure.
I like that it's like an artisanal beer dragon. That's fun. So keys open these special lockboxes that can't be broken any other way. There's not a lockbox in every level, but there are quite a few levels that have them. And the keys are always at a different point in the level. Usually you have to go out of your way. And right there we see Sparks just ate a blue butterfly and got a life back. And that leaves one path for us left to go. This is actually where most of the level is. Like I said, it's a little weird. Got these shepherds. It's weird how they handled level progression in the first Spyro game because you could very easily ignore, I would say, 95% of this level. You know, if I open a new file, I could run and actually see what percentage of it is to just go to the ending, but this area is just a bit like the other. Got a little more arches. Here's some friendly laughter from the hills. Pretty standard stuff. Looking around, because again, with this tall HD grass, it can be easy to lose gems. Or entire chests, because I'm an idiot. Alright, got that. Then we're gonna hop back up this whirlwind. Land us right next to a dragon. And this is Gildus. Let's call him Glidus.
Spyro, my friend, how about a hint on gliding?
You bet.
For the longest glide, press the jump button at the top of your jump, and try pressing the action button to drop down mid-flight.
The way he looked at, like, bent over and looked at us. That dragon's the first really great example of, like, the characterization that they give every single dragon in the first one. As a sort of spoiler, I guess, the future Reignited games don't get quite the same creative treatment. They really went overboard with Spyro 1, which I can appreciate, because it's always been my favorite of the trilogy. Right there I did a little trick. Let's see if I can do it. If you're gliding, you can pull back and Spyro will flap his wings to slow down. I actually prefer that to the use the action button to drop in mid-flight, because it gives you more control and it's a lot less dangerous to just slow down when you're flying rather than dropping out of the air. This big hill is an area where I constantly am missing gems. I guarantee by the time I think I'm done, we're gonna be missing some. Over there, got a little friend in blue. That is an egg thief. They are an infamous part of Spyro. All they do is run from you. Usually they hold dragon eggs. Occasionally they hold other various treasures like gems. They can be tricky to get. They require you to be pretty on top of them. This one's an easy one, but later on, you're gonna have to have like perfect turns in a game where this is the turning radius when you're running. So they're a nice little challenge. They add a little bit of diversity to the standard enemy. They just come at you and attack, and then you flame them or charge them, because chasing them down can be a little trickier. All right, looking around these hills, yeah, just take a look. Like, that's just beautiful. I really am glad what they did with this game. Over back here, you see these little pillars. You're like, wow, I didn't realize Spyro was such an open world game. No, they're force field generators. And they look way cooler than they did in the original too. So this is Stone Hill, but also, I don't know, the Hunger Games dome thing. So yeah. But like, if you look back there, there's all these castles back in the background. It's really impressive. Toys for Bob really did an excellent job in remaking this. Bring to life a series that I kind of thought was over, and a series that really hasn't had a lot of success since the PlayStation days. And it's nice that it's accessible on like every console now. Got some gems back there, and we only need 10 more. I'm a little worried. Alright. As you can see, this is like a shortcut that you can go back to the end of the level. There's the little fairy friend. Now, I've never tried to get up here, but I wonder if you can, because I don't think you can climb these roofs in the original. Roofs? Roofs? No, you can't. Okay. I'm pretty sure you just slide off these in the original. Alright, we have 2, 4. Alright, we need 6 more gems. Spyro the Dragon is just a really fun game to run around and navigate in. A lot of times you can do it pretty carefree, just running through sheep and whatnot. I'm starting to get more worried about these last few gems. You can see what sort of the issue with Spyro games are. Every collectible matters, and the collectibles are really easily hidden, whether intentionally or not. So a lot of times you get to the end of a level and you have to backtrack through the whole thing. Some levels it's not so bad. And this one, Stone Hill's a weirdly big level for the first level of the game. So it's actually one of my least favorite levels to miss gems in. And yet, I always manage to be missing gems in it. Alright, here's... Oh good, there's 1. So now we're only missing 3. That's comforting. Any second now. Yeah, you can see what the problem with Reignited is, because it is very hard to spot any gems through the grass. I'm gonna try up here one more time, and then I'm gonna assume that I left them at the bottom of the hill, which normally isn't how I roll in Stone Hill. Alright, well I'm gonna cut and see when I find those last couple gems. Oh my god. Well, that was frankly ridiculous, but here's the last 3 gems. They were about 2 steps away from where we first came up on top of the hill. So that's level complete. Finally, that took an embarrassing amount of time for me to do Stonehill. So as you can see, you go through that portal and you can return home. If you miss something, you're going to go back through a level. You can grab that, and if you go to the home menu, you can quit a level at any time, regardless if you've beat it or not, and you will keep all your progress from it. Just keep in mind that enemies respawn when you go back to a world, so you will have to fight everything if you're just ducking out because you want enough dragons or gems in order to go to the next world or something. No, I've done runs where I just do that. This is the first time returning to a world. We're going to go over here. See the Snork? We already got a gem from him. If you defeat an enemy who already had a gem, in this game you will receive a little pearl. Those pearls will add up around a ring, and they will give Spyro an extra life if you collect enough of them. Enemies can also drop full lives, but it is pretty rare. Alright, so I think this is a good episode length, so I'm going to call it here. When we come back, we're going to go to one of my favorite levels aesthetically in the game, Dark Hollow. I'm excited for that, so I'll see you then. Thanks for watching. Bye.